everyone, and welcome back to Deep Dive. Today we're taking a look at something that I think we all wish we had a bit more of: luck.
Luck.
But what really is it?
Yeah.
Some kind of mystical force? Is it just pure chance? Or is it something we can actually, create or influence in some way? I'm really excited to get into this one because I know a lot of you are too.
Me too.
Yeah, this was a listener-submitted topic, by the way.
Awesome.
So we'll be exploring all angles of this, from psychology and math all the way to cultural beliefs, to see what we can learn about luck. And I got to say, in doing the research for this one, I stumbled across a really interesting study where people who just believed they had a lucky charm, they actually performed better on memory tasks.
Interesting.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
So maybe there's something to this whole mindset thing. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I want to bring in our expert for today to help us break all of this down.
Well, luck often feels mystical, right?
It does.
But probability theory actually provides a framework for understanding these seemingly lucky events.
Okay, so break that down for me. How does probability play into all of this?
So probability is basically about favorable outcomes divided by the total possible outcomes.
Okay.
So think about rolling a dice. You have a 1 in 6 chance of hitting any given number. Pretty simple, right?
Yep, that makes sense. So like one favorable outcome, the number you're aiming for,
Right.
over 6 total sides on the die.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm with you.
Now, think about the lottery. You've got like, what, 1 in 292 million chance.
Yeah, it's astronomical.
Exactly. So hitting that lucky number is less about, magic and more about astronomical chance.
Right. I mean, that really puts things into perspective. So understanding those odds can actually help us kind of demystify the luck of big wins.
Exactly.
It's not just about, being touched by magic. It's about the sheer improbability of it all.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Our brains, they crave these patterns even in randomness.
Oh, tell me about it.
Like you flip a coin 5 times, get heads each time. You start thinking tails is DUE, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Every single time.
But really, those odds reset with each flip.
I know. It's totally irrational, but I can't help it. It's like we're wired to see patterns, even where they don't exist.
Yeah, that's called the cluster illusion, seeing patterns where there are none.
Cluster illusion. Gotta remember that one.
Uh.
And so this feeds right into how we perceive luck,
Yes, absolutely.
along with a whole bunch of other cognitive biases, I bet.
Exactly.
Confirmation bias.
Yes. We remember those times we found a $20 bill on the sidewalk, but conveniently forget all the times we found nothing.
Right. Our minds love to focus on the evidence that supports what we believe, even if it's about something as unpredictable as luck.
Yeah.
But wait, didn't you mention earlier that some personality types might be more lucky than others?
Yes. There's some fascinating research around that.
Okay, now this is where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
So are we talking about people who just walk under ladders and don't even flinch?
No, not quite.
Okay, good, because I do that all the time, and so far so good. But
No. A psychologist named Richard Wiseman, he's done some fascinating work on this.
Okay.
He found that people who consider themselves lucky share some common traits. They tend to be open to new experiences.
Okay.
They're resilient, and they tend to have generally an optimistic outlook.
Interesting. So it's not about carrying a rabbit's foot or avoiding black cats. It's about being open to whatever life throws at you.
Yes, exactly.
Huh. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Uh-huh.
Rolling with the punches and all that.
And get this, in one of his studies,
Yeah.
Wiseman actually hid a message in a newspaper and asked people to find it.
Yeah.
Those who self-identified as lucky,
Yeah.
they were way more likely to spot it. They were simply more tuned in to their surroundings, noticing things that others might miss.
So it's like lucky people are just better at seeing the opportunities that are already there. Like they're primed to find that hidden message in the everyday chaos.
Exactly. They've got a wider lens,
That's really cool.
taking in more information and making connections others might overlook. And this ties back to the idea that maybe we're missing out on lucky breaks simply because we're not expecting them.
Whoa. Okay, that's a mind bender. So are you saying my mindset could actually be influencing my luck? Is there any science to back that up?
There is. Neuroscience is starting to uncover how brain chemistry plays a role.
Okay, let's hear it.
So dopamine, the neurotransmitter linked to pleasure and reward, well, it also influences risk-taking.
I see.
And taking risks, that can open you up to more lucky outcomes.
So the more you put yourself out there, the more chances you have to stumble upon something amazing. Makes sense.
Precisely.
What about other brain chemicals? Are there any others involved in this luck equation?
Well, there's serotonin,
Okay.
which is linked to mood regulation and optimism.
Okay.
People with balanced serotonin levels, they tend to be more resilient, bouncing back from setbacks. Another trait those lucky people seem to have.
Right, right. So it's not just about wishing on a four-leaf clover. There's actual brain chemistry at play. I'm curious, though, how do different cultures view luck? Is it always seen as this, random, unpredictable force?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Because cultural perspectives on luck, they're incredibly diverse.
I bet.
Some cultures focus on randomness,
Right.
while others see luck as tied to actions and harmony.
Oh, that's interesting. It's like how in some cultures, certain numbers are considered lucky or unlucky. Like I've heard that in Japan, the number 4 is bad luck
Yes.
because it sounds like the word for death.
Exactly. And that can impact everything, right?
Yeah.
From apartment numbers to gift giving.
Wow. So even something as seemingly random as a number can be loaded with cultural meaning and shaped how we experience luck.
It really can.
This is blowing my mind.
And then there are the rituals and superstitions that seem to pop up in almost every culture.
Right. Knocking on wood, avoiding black cats, carrying lucky charms. It's like we all have these little things we do to try and, tilt the scales in our favor. But do those rituals actually do anything, or is it all just placebo effect?
That's where the power of belief comes in. Whether or not those rituals have any real magical power,
Right.
believing in them can have a real psychological impact.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe something will bring you good luck, you might actually act in ways that make it more likely to happen.
Exactly.
Like if you think you're going to have a bad day, you might subconsciously sabotage yourself.
Right. And this brings us back to that study where people who believed they had a lucky charm actually performed better on memory tests.
Oh, right. So it wasn't the charm itself, but the confidence boost from believing in it that led to the better results. Makes you wonder, could just believing you're lucky actually make you more likely to notice and seize opportunities?
That's a fascinating question,
It is. It's like, how much of this is in our heads?
Yeah. Researchers are still exploring that one. But the idea that our beliefs can influence our reality,
Right.
that's definitely gaining traction.
Okay, so this is giving me a lot to think about. But the big question everyone wants answered,
Mm-hmm.
can we actually create our own luck?
Now that's where things get really interesting.
Ooh, I'm ready.
Stay tuned because next we're going to dive into the practical strategies you can use to potentially tilt those odds in your favor.
Okay, so we've established luck isn't just like this mystical force floating around. It's this really interesting blend of probability, psychology, even those cultural beliefs we talked about.
Yes.
But let's get to that million-dollar question. Can we actually create our own luck?
Well, while we can't control every random event,
Right.
there is a lot we can do to influence the outcome. And it all starts with mindset,
All right.
believing in the possibility of positive outcomes.
Okay.
That's key.
So instead of thinking, I'm so unlucky I'll never win this, it's
Yeah.
more like, hey, maybe this is my lucky day.
Exactly. It's shifting your perspective to focus on the potential for those positive outcomes, even in situations that, seem challenging.
Yeah, I can see how that could make a difference. But what else can we do besides, just positive thinking?
Preparation, that's huge.
Ah,
There's a reason they say luck favors the prepared.
right.
Developing your skills, learning new things, staying informed, all of that increases your chances of being in the right place at the right time.
Okay, so it's not just about wishing on a star. It's about creating a fertile ground for luck to, take root.
I like that analogy.
I do too.
And the good news is there are actual psychological strategies that we can use to cultivate this fertile ground.
Oh, really? Like what?
Visualization is a powerful one.
Okay.
By vividly imagining yourself achieving your goals, you prime your mind for success.
Okay, so if I want to ace that job interview, I should picture myself nailing those answers and getting the offer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And don't underestimate affirmations, repeating positive statements about yourself. That can reprogram your subconscious mind, boost your self-belief.
It makes sense. If you constantly tell yourself you're capable and, deserving of good things, you might start to actually act in ways that make those good things more likely to happen.
Right. Exactly.
It's like faking it till you make it, but for your luck.
And then there's resilience. Lucky people tend to bounce back from setbacks quickly.
Right, they don't dwell.
Yeah, they don't let failures derail them. They use them as learning opportunities and keep moving forward.
Okay, so instead of dwelling on what went wrong, I should try to see it as a chance to learn and grow. Easier said than done sometimes, but I get the concept. What else?
Cognitive flexibility is key.
Okay, what's that?
This is all about being able to adapt to changing circumstances and see opportunities even in those challenging situations.
So, like, if my perfectly planned, plans fall apart, I should be able to pivot and come up with a new plan instead of just, like, giving up.
Exactly. Cognitive flexibility allows you to turn what seems like bad luck into a new and potentially even better path.
I love that it's like turning lemons into lemonade, but for life.
Right, and the best part,
Yeah.
there's actual research to back up the effectiveness of these strategies.
Oh.
There was a study in the Journal of Positive Psychology,
Okay.
and it found that people who practiced visualization and gratitude journaling,
Mm-hmm.
they reported feeling luckier and more successful.
Whoa, okay. So it's not just, fluffy self-help stuff.
Huh.
There's actual science behind it. This is making me rethink my whole perspective on luck. It's like, instead of being at the mercy of fate, we take charge, create our own luck.
That's precisely the point.
I love that.
By understanding that interplay of probability, psychology, even those cultural influences,
Right.
we start to see luck as less of this mystical force and more of a skill we can actually develop.
That's so cool. Okay, but let's get practical for a second. You mentioned preparation earlier.
Yeah.
Can you give me like a real-world example of how that translates into luck?
Think about those entrepreneurs that seem to just effortlessly attract investors and partners.
Right, they just like ooze luck.
It might look like pure luck,
Yeah.
but behind the scenes, they've likely spent years
Yeah.
honing their skills, networking, building relationships.
So that lucky break they got, it wasn't just chance, it was the result of all the hard work and prep they put in.
Exactly.
Wow, so they were ready when opportunity knocked.
Yes.
And that's something anyone can do, no matter what their goals are. By putting in the effort to learn and grow and, build those connections, we increase our chances of being in the right place at the right time. It's like that saying, the harder I work, the luckier I get. I
Absolutely.
really like that. And what about proactivity?
Yes. Lucky people tend to be proactive.
Yeah.
They're seeking out new experiences, meeting new people, taking those calculated risks.
I get it. It's not about sitting back and waiting for something good to happen. It's
Yeah.
about putting yourself out there, creating those opportunities.
Exactly. By putting yourself out there,
Mhm.
you increase your chances of encountering those lucky breaks.
I'm so glad we did this deep dive. I feel like I'm seeing luck in a whole new light.
That's great to hear.
But I'm curious, is there a downside to believing too much in luck? Could it lead to people not taking responsibility for their actions or like blaming bad luck for their failures?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It's definitely important to strike a balance. While believing in your own luck can be very empowering,
Right.
it's crucial to remember that we still need to take ownership for our choices and actions.
So it's not about like abdicating responsibility or using luck as an excuse. It's about recognizing we have agency in shaping our own outcomes,
Yeah.
even amidst the unpredictable nature of life.
Exactly.
This conversation has been so insightful. It feels like we've like cracked the secret code of luck.
Maybe not a secret code, but we've explored some really fascinating insights
Yeah.
into the nature of luck and how it interacts with like our own psychology and
Yeah.
our actions.
Absolutely. And, I'm really feeling inspired to go out and create some of my own luck. But before we wrap things up, what's that one big takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
Well, I think the most important thing to remember is that luck, it's not just about random chance
Right.
or, some mystical force.
It's more than that.
It's a dynamic mix of probability, psychology, and even those cultural beliefs we talked about.
Yeah, it's like we've been saying. It's not about throwing logic and reason out the window. It's about understanding how chance and choice kind of work together, to
Exactly.
shape our experiences.
Yeah, we can't control every roll of the dice,
Right.
but we can influence which dice we choose to roll and how we play the game.
Okay, I love that analogy. It's like we're not just passengers on this crazy ride called life. We can grab the wheel and, steer in the direction we want to go.
Exactly, and that's incredibly empowering. By understanding the science and psychology of luck, we can become more intentional about creating the life we want.
We talked about preparation being key. It's like that quote, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. We can't always control when those opportunities pop up,
Right.
but we can be ready for them when they do.
Absolutely.
And, luck isn't always about winning the lottery
Mhm.
or finding a four-leaf clover. It's about those everyday moments of serendipity, those times when things just, like, fall into place.
Right.
Like meeting the right person at the right time,
Yeah.
or stumbling upon your dream job, or
Yes.
even just having a really amazing day.
Exactly.
Those moments, they might feel random,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe they're not so random after all.
You got it. Those seemingly random moments are often the result of, mindset, preparation, and proactivity that we've been talking about.
So it's not about sitting around waiting for luck to find us. It's about putting ourselves out there,
Yes.
taking those calculated risks and, being open to new experiences.
Absolutely. And don't forget about the power of belief. Even if those lucky charms, they don't have any magical properties, believing in them can give us that boost of confidence.
Right.
And that can help us seize those opportunities.
Yeah, it's like a mental edge.
Mm-hmm.
So to wrap things up, it sounds like the more we believe in ourselves
Yes.
and our ability to create those positive outcomes,
Mhm.
the luckier we become.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Totally.
When we approach life with a positive outlook and a proactive mindset, we open ourselves up to, a world of possibilities.
This has been so eye-opening. I feel like I have a whole new perspective on luck.
I'm glad to hear that.
Me too.
Yes.
And to all our listeners out there,
Yes.
we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on luck? Do you have any rituals or lucky charms? Share your stories with us in the comments. We'd love to keep this conversation going.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to subscribe to Deep Dive for more explorations into all the cool mysteries of life, the universe, and everything.
Thanks for joining us today. Until next time, stay curious and keep those lucky vibes flowing.